Hello everyone. In the present video, I will discuss about the concept of class consciousness in the works of Karl Marx. Karl Marx particularly focused on the class consciousness. The notion of class consciousness or the concept of class consciousness, how it develops in the society, particularly in the capitalist society, and what is the role of this class consciousness in the capitalist society, that we need to understand. And in the Marx works, the class consciousness idea is very important, because this class consciousness idea, the very notion of class consciousness, is a determining factor, of class conflict, revolution and change, and even the coming of socialist society. So class consciousness is a very important determining factor that plays a structural role, that plays a transformative role in the capitalist society. First, I will discuss about what is class consciousness, and then I will discuss what is its role in the class conflict and the revolution. Class consciousness means the consciousness among the members of a particular class regarding their own condition, situation and status. When a particular class, the members of this particular class realizes their own condition and existence and their situation, it is called as class consciousness. What may be the opposite of class consciousness? Opposite of class consciousness may be the dormant status of the class or members of a particular class. That class or members of a particular class have no sense, realization, feelings regarding their condition, their situation, their status and their overall environment. So it's a dormant status, we can say. And class consciousness is not certainly a given process. It is not certainly a automatic random process. Class consciousness is not something which is automatically or randomly or coincidentally given. Rather, it is a deliberate process. It is a strategic process. It is a evolutionary developmental process that takes place in the capitalist society. And here Karl Marx mainly focused on in the context of the proletariat revolution and the change in the capitalist society. He focused on this particular issue, that is the issue of class consciousness. According to him, that there is a need of the class consciousness among the proletariat. Why there is a need of class consciousness among the proletariat, that I will discuss. But now come to the point again in the class consciousness. Karl Marx has mentioned about two kinds of class consciousness: class for itself and class in itself. When a class is dormant, that is members of a particular class is dormant, particularly his focus is on proletariat. So when the proletariat class or the members of a proletariat class is dormant, that they do not have any realization about their situation, condition, their discrimination or oppression or suppression, that means it is class in itself, that there is no sense of existence and belongingness, sense of the oppression and exploitation which is going on. So this class consciousness, that is this class in itself, is not important. It is not important for making any change. What is important is class for itself, that this particular proletariat class or the members of the proletariat class may now develops themselves into a class for itself. Class for itself means the class having class consciousness. When the proletariat develops a class consciousness among them, a feeling of belongingness, existence, when they realizes their condition, situation, then they may forms a class or class for itself, and it is it is the important class. For Karl Marx, this particular class for itself is important for making change or for bringing change or transformation in the capitalist society. So that means what? Simply formation of a class is not important. Simply existing of a particular class is not important. Simply categorization of certain people into one class is not important. What is important is that class for itself, there is class consciousness. In capitalist society, there is oppression, exploitation over the capitalist, over the proletariat class by the capitalist, according to Karl Marx. And in capitalist society, according to Karl Marx, the proletariat always faces oppression, suppression, subordination, deprivation. So there needs to be class consciousness. Without class consciousness, there cannot be any change, there cannot be any revolution, there cannot be the successive stage after capitalist society. So ultimately it means that class consciousness is the determining factor of the class conflict and change. Now the role of class consciousness in the conflict. How class consciousness plays an important role in the class conflict according to Karl Marx. Why there can be a class conflict? Class conflict arises because of the conflict of interest. Conflict of interest among the various classes. So in capitalist society, according to Karl Marx, there may be conflict of interest between capitalist and proletariat. When there is conflict of interest between these two classes, this class consciousness plays an important role, particularly for the proletariat. If the proletariat have the class consciousness, they will express their sufferings, they will express their issues, they will express their interest, and there will definitely a process arise, there will definitely a process evolve in the form of conflict. So conflict may not be in the form of armed conflict, conflict of interest. There may be conflict of interest in the organization, in the system, in the industrial or corporate body or organization or in the structure. So there will be conflict of interest. So this conflict of interest mainly develops by the class consciousness within the proletariat class, because proletariat class is also not a very uniform or a homogeneous category. It has also diversity, it has also heterogeneity. So class consciousness is very important. Class consciousness also signifies the integrity of the members towards the group, integrity of the members towards their issues, their problems, and how they deal with it, whether they do it collectively or do it individually or bargain individually or manage it individually. So capitalist class will never encourage the class consciousness among the proletariat. But according to Karl Marx, this class consciousness is very important for bringing change in the capitalist society. So first thing is that conflict starts with the conflict of interest, and this conflict of interest starts because of the class consciousness within the proletariat. This is one point. Then after class conflict, according to Karl Marx, there may be a large scale revolution. This revolution is mainly for overthrowing capitalist regime or the domination or capitalist elite. So in this revolution, class consciousness plays a very important role. Class consciousness organizes the members of the proletariat. Class consciousness develops solidarity among the members of the proletariat class, and this class consciousness driven solidarity within the proletariat class may leads to large scale revolution in the capitalist society, because this large scale revolution in the capitalist society needs widespread acceptance of the fact that proletariat are being deprived, exploited, and their needs the overthrowing of the capitalist regime. Their needs the widespread acceptance that capitalist regime must be overthrown. So, according to Karl Marx, this conflict and revolution or transformative change that may take place in the capitalist society is mainly because of the class consciousness. So, when we see the class conflict in the capitalist society, or when we look into the issue of class conflict in the capitalist society, it is not because of the conflict, rather it is because of the class consciousness behind this conflict. If there is no class consciousness, there cannot be class conflict, there cannot be class conflict and revolution. So, class consciousness is determining factor of the conflict and the revolution. And according to Karl Marx, this socialist society or the socialism will mainly established based on the idea that people have their feeling of existence, people have their consciousness of existence, their situation, their reality, and their environment concern. They should not be just the dormant members of the society. They should not let the dominant section control themselves. They should rather be aware and conscious that what is the situation, what is their condition, what is their status, and what they should get. Now, this consciousness is interpreted by different Marxists in different way, particularly after the Karl Marx. So, later Marxists interpreted this class consciousness in different way. So, different way of using consciousness is followed after the Karl Marx. But most important point here is that this class consciousness is followed even today, when the Marxist looks for the revolution, Marxist looks for movement, Marxists look for collective movement. They ultimately tries to draw the objective and attention of the members towards a particular goal, towards a particular point of interest. And setting this point of interest or goal is ultimately the end or objective of creating consciousness among the members of this class. So, we may here relate this particular issue in the context of advanced industrial society and different neo-Marxists who further analyzed the neo-Marxism, analyzed the post-industrial society or advanced industrial society. So, now the class consciousness has disappeared almost. Now, proletariat class is not integrated within itself. Proletariat class has no class consciousness that Karl Marx anticipated, assumed. Today's proletariat class is further divided into number of classes, and all the classes have their own self-interest, and all the classes have their different mechanism of collective bargaining, mechanism of dealing with the problems and the situations. So, ultimately the collective class consciousness is absent today in the post-industrial society, what particularly focused on by the neo-Marxist and particularly by the Frankfurt thinkers. Now, advanced industrial society is more in favor of the mobility. So, class consciousness may not support the mobility, rather class consciousness support integrity of the class and doing a conflict of interest with the dominant class. So, this much is the present discussion. Thank you very much for watching.